This week's Farm Basics is brought to you by satshot.com. Satellites aren't just for NASA anymore. Use the power of satellite imagery to create variable rate management zones in your fields. To reduce input costs and increase yields on your farm, go to satshot.com.
Well, it's spring, and you know what that means. It means it's time to get your lawn looking great. Forget about those crops. You want a nice looking lawn.
You got to hurry up and get it done before these flowers start coming. That's the big issue. Once you get flowers up, then you got to be very careful with some of the things that you're doing around the lawn. So let's talk about killing some weeds out in your lawn, starting with some of the tough broadleaf weeds like dandelion.
Well, with dandelion, it is a tough weed, but if you use the right product, just use some 2,4-D, use it at the maximum labeled rate. That's a pretty strong rate. That's normally going to knock out those dandelions. The key is you want to get them early in the season. Now, dandelion is a perennial. You might not wipe all of them out, but if you can hit them in the spring, you hit them again in the fall, between those two things, you do that a couple different years, you're going to be in pretty good shape. We've just about eliminated dandelions on our farm and in our yards by doing just that.
When we talk about crabgrass, that's something that's going to pop up a little bit later in the year in our geography. There is a product called Drive that can be used ahead for crabgrass control. There are some other things that could mix right with fertilizer too. But let's talk about that fertilizer component, because that's something a lot of people are getting started on their lawns.
Yep.
The first step you need to take is getting a soil sample for your lawn.
What? Soil test your lawn?
Yes,
That's crazy,
absolutely.
Derek.
You need to probe out in your lawn or go out with a shovel or something and get a soil sample of the top 6 inches, something that represents your lawn. So if you've got a great big lawn, you may need more than one sample. If you've got a small lawn, maybe one sample will do the job. And you can see a diagnosis of what nutrients you need to have a successful lawn. You don't just go out and start spreading fertilizer in your lawn. That would be crazy. Farmers don't do things that way in their fields. Why do you think you should do it that way in your yard?
And here's the reason why you want to do that. Because in terms of over-fertilization, you know, we talk about being good stewards of the land and everything. Farmers, for the most part, they aren't over-fertilizing, they're under-fertilizing, because fertilizer costs a lot of money. But if it's your lawn and you got a little 10 by 10 lawn, or let's say it's 30 by 30 lawn, you know, it's only going to cost you an extra $5 or maybe $20, and you could triple the rate out there. Well, I'm just saying it's very easy to overdo it when it's a small area. So that's one of the biggest things, is we just don't want you to overdo it.
So when you get that diagnosis back for your lawn, then you can figure out how much plant food your lawn really needs and get it spread correctly. Another thing that a lot of people are doing with successful lawns is focusing on calcium and sulfur, whether it's ammonium sulfate as one of their fertilizer choices, or calcium sulfate, which is gypsum, can help loosen up that lawn and supply some more sulfur and calcium for your lawn.
Well, once again, when it comes to lawn care, there are a lot of things to look at. You want to get your weeds under control, certainly. Also, you've got to take a look at the fertility aspect of things. The important thing is to just give it some forethought, talk to some people who know what's going on to make good recommendations for you. Don't overdo it with fertilizer, and make sure that you're using the right products when it comes to controlling those weeds. If you do all that, you should have a great looking lawn this summer.
Well, and weed control, as we mentioned, is important in lawns. It's also important in fields. We'll show you how to wipe out our weed of the week coming up later in the show.